Maybe. Yeah. It's like Beetlejuice. Yeah. Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. I ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
You all please remain standing in respect and appreciation for first responders and all. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for showing up to tonight's meeting. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Prior to tonight's meeting, we held an executive session on legal issues. Chairman's report, the Easter egg hunt will be Saturday, March 28th at 10 a.m. at East Goshen Park. There are 3 separate age groups, 3 and under, 4 through 6, and 7 to 10. They'll all be done simultaneously in different areas. And then also, Conservancy is hosting Keep East Goshen Beautiful Day, which is going to be held on Saturday, April 25th, 8 a.m. with the rain date of Sunday, April 26th. An Arbor Day event will be held immediately after this event. Where's that happen? Is it Climbers Woods, or I'm sure yet?
I don't think it's Climbers Woods this year. I feel like it's on the other side of the park this year, but I don't want to misspeak.
Okay. Public comment for anything that's non-agenda related? Any public comment in the room, in the Zoom room? With that, go ahead and move over to emergency service reports to Chief Leahy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So for the month of February, the police department handled a total of 1,898 calls for service. 967 of those were in East Goshen specific. Year to date in East Goshen, the department's handled 2,002 calls for service. The entire breakdown of all the calls the officers handled can be found in the March Police Commission packets on our Crime Watch page. But just to give you an idea of some of the calls officers handled in February were 6 animal complaints, 1 residential burglary, which was unfounded, 1 DUI arrest, 2 drug offenses, 6 harassment incidents, 13 police alarms, 6 fraud reports, 19 motor vehicle crashes, 2 domestic disturbances, 5 disturbances, 4 simple assaults, 1 of which ended up in an arrest, 1 reported rape, 11 suspicious conditions, 4 mental health incidents, 10 well-being checks, 2 theft reports, and 21 traffic-related problems or reports. The department handled 548 proactive incidents, 104 of those being traffic stops, the remaining of which were business checks, school checks, patrol checks, and such. Before I go on with the rest of my report, I'm sure everybody's heard about the extremely tragic and sad event that took place last weekend when Pennsylvania State Trooper Corporal Timothy O'Connor Jr. was shot and killed while conducting a traffic stop in Westtown Township in the western part of the county. Corporal O'Connor was assigned to the Emeryville Barracks in West Bradford Township and served the Pennsylvania State Police proudly for 16 years. This senseless act of violence on police is a reminder that every police officer faces every day they ride for duty. Myself, Lieutenant Reniger, and other members of the department just came from the viewing for Corporal O'Connor. And tomorrow, myself, Lieutenant Reniger, Lieutenant Stafford, and other members of the police department will be attending the funeral. So please ask everybody to keep Corporal O'Connor and his family in your thoughts and your prayers. So primary trends that we're going to be seeing now that it's springtime, we're going to see door-to-door solicitation coming up again. It happens every year. So everybody knows, or a reminder, it's a violation of the township ordinance to engage in transient solicitation of goods and services for profit without a permit issued by the township. So we ask any resident, if they feel as if an individual knocks on their door soliciting without a permit, call 911, obtain a description of the subject, the vehicle they might be driving, provide that to the dispatcher, and our officers will come out and try and make contact with the subject and verify whether or not they have a permit or not. I also remind residents, as I'm sure the township does regularly, there's a do not call list if any resident would like to be put on that list where the permitted individuals aren't permitted to go to your residence. Another trend that we'll see coming up is soon our ballparks and our parks and our ball fields will be filled with residents and visitors in East Goshen for outdoor activities and sports. Historically, we see an increase in theft of motor vehicles in the spring during these events. Thieves take advantage of these well-attended events. Will walk through parking lots to look for valuables left in vehicles. Will then smash a window out of the car and very quickly steal the items that they're looking for. So we urge everyone never to leave valuables in plain sight. Always place those valuables, bags, electronics, or whatever you have in your car and secured in your trunk. On that note, we're very happy in the police department that the revitalization of our police mountain bike unit is starting to develop. Our officers, over the last 20+ years have been operating on the same bikes. I was on when I started in the late 90s. So we were able to purchase this year 4 new bikes, which are currently being outfitted. And soon our officers will be, out in the parks, out in the neighborhoods. If you see them, please wave to them, stop them as they're pedaling through. They'll be happy to see that. They're especially going to be utilized pretty heavily with the American 250 events coming up. So. In the coming weeks, we'll be holding a coffee with the cop event. We're looking to hold it at the Boot Road Giant. The date and time has not been solidified yet, but once we do, we'll be pushing it out through our social media pages. So again, invite everybody to come and meet us and have fun coffee and some pastries and with us. It's proven to be a good event. Lastly, I'm proud to announce that last week our police department was presented with the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association, otherwise known as LEDA, the Agency Trilogy Award by the organization's Executive Director, Jack Batiste. The FBI LEDA Trilogy Award recognizes those departments whose entire command staff has completed the organization's professional development courses in supervisory leadership, community leadership, and executive leadership. We was only the 30th police organization out of approximately 1,200 in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to receive this recognition. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from the board? I appreciate you, Chief, and Sergeant Renner attending tonight and that horrible tragedy last week representing the township. So
Thank you very much.
Russ, you can go up to the podium if you have any questions.
Hey, Chief, Russ Frank, East Coast resident. I thought the badge for supposed to get tours was supposed to be handled by the township. At least that's what I've done over the year. So was the 911 a new procedure?
I'm sorry, I can hear. So I'll just step off so everybody hear my answer. So now the police department doesn't issue the permits. The permits are issued through the township. We're saying there's many individuals that come about this time of year that do not get a permit from the township. Right. And they'll knock on your door, they'll ring your doorbell. If you believe a subject that doesn't have a permit, call 911, we'll come out and we'll verify whether they don't. If they don't, we'll deal with them appropriately. They could possibly receive citation, various things we could do in that circumstance.
So in other words, if they have a permit, it's easier for us to keep track of. If somebody doesn't have a permit, then it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. We don't have any enforcement mechanism at the administrative level, so we need the help of the police officers on that front.
But Doug, I called numerous times on this issue, and if I call 911, these guys are going to be going anyway. So what does that?
Well, that's the frustrating part of it. I mean, we do catch some people red-handed for sure.
Okay.
But I agree with you. Most of the time, we probably are missing quite a substantial amount of people, and it's so transient. There's really, I mean, maybe the chief could elaborate a little bit more on if he thinks this is correct, but it's really a tough subject, and there's not a whole lot you can do if it's that transient of a company. And a lot of times, it makes it even tougher is they'll have the same name of the company but different different offices. So it's like, this weed man of Delaware or the, weed whack man of Norristown. So you have all these different divisions, then they say, oh, that wasn't us. Well, that was your name. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. And a lot of times we do, strike out.
I'll table that.
So to Derek's point, there are many times that, we're not gonna be able to get in contact with them. Either we can't find them or they're on went to another location. But I can tell you what we are concerned about is there are many organizations that I wouldn't even refer to as organization. They're companies that are very transit. They'll bring in, let's say 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old kids from anywhere in the country, and they're traveling all around the country. And they're selling magazines, they're selling, and we don't know who these people are, right? That's what we're worried about. Yeah, there may be very legitimate people that go around, legitimate companies that didn't get a permit, they may be permanent. But our concern are the ones that might be out looking for potentially do not harm, but maybe even a scan of a resident of sorts. So that's what we're really looking for.
Thanks, Chief. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Lieutenant Reniger. I almost called you Sergeant, but Lieutenant. Grant for Goshen Fire Company. And as Grant gets up here, we also, as always, have the Malvern Fire Company and the Good Fellowship packets in the packet if anyone's interested.
Good evening.
Evening.
For the month of February, the Ocean Fire Company responded to 85 fire calls, 30 of which were in East Goshen, 17 fire police calls, of which 8 were in East Goshen, and 389 EMS calls, 188 of which were in East Goshen. The only major serious event was an accident with entrapment on February 27th at Bailey Pike and Blue Road. So that's our operational update. Cody asked for an update on our subscription drive. So we mailed our reminder letter several weeks ago. We're currently in receipt of $384,323 year to date. We're tracking about 3% behind last year. We've caught up, we had a little bit of a bigger gap. We caught up a little bit with the second mailing, but we are lagging a little bit this time last year. But they're still coming in. We'll get caught up.
Thanks for giving me those numbers. Any questions or comments from the board?
I'm just wondering if, as part of your report, you might include for our benefit, because there's no way to translate any of this into physical numbers. But average cost per call for fire calls, average cost per call for fire police calls, and average cost per call for EMS calls, just so we can begin to have a better understanding of what each type of call is costing. And also with the EMS calls for falls,
Yes.
Assisted, are some of those reimbursed, and are they reimbursed at a rate that is consistent with what it costs to actually take care, to help that person back into bed? Or
So we track that pretty carefully. Many times we're dispatched for what we call a lift assist.
Mhm.
It actually turns into a transport. There's some underlying issue, or the dizzy spell, or heart problems or whatever, actually triggers a fall. So it turns into a transport. So we're able to collect whatever is allowable, usually under Medicare for that. We do charge, if somebody's not a subscriber, we do charge for the lift assist. If you are a subscriber, the lift assist is included in your subscription. So, and then back to your original request, cost per call is a little bit difficult. On the EMS side, it's a little easier to calculate because we staff according to our volume. So, if we have 5,000 calls, we know what it costs to treat those ambulances. On the fire side, there's a lot of sunk costs involved. Whether we run 100 calls or 500 calls, we need fire trucks, we need all of that. So that one's a little harder to calculate. But on the EMS calls, cost per call, we can calculate that.
Yeah, and maybe, there's some way to maybe not do exact, but average,
And we get you the ball.
that would be great to have that as part of our report, just to help us track things and know what your costs are and have a better sense of that. I think we can be more supportive.
I can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Any other questions or comments from the board? Thanks, Greg. Have a good night. Moving along, we have no public hearings tonight. Financial report as of February 28th, 2026. Kelly?
As of the end of February, the township's finances are in great shape. We collected $1,991,060 and spent $1,977,793. This means we received $13,267 more than we have spent for the year so far. So this is normal for the beginning of the year, since many of our large sources of revenue come later in the year. As of February 28th, the entire general fund balance is $5,922,876. For the 2026 budget, we're doing much better than we originally planned for this time of year. In fact, we are $1.1 million ahead of where we expected today. We received $876,000 more than we expected year to date. This is mostly due to higher collection from real estate transfer tax, income tax, and building permit fees. Overall spending is $233,000, lower than we planned year to date. This is mainly due to lower costs in police services, engineering work, and lower than expected wages for sewer and finance. I think that was it. And stormwater. Are there any questions on the reports?
Have any board? No? Any questions in the room or on the Zoom?
I have two items that I have questions on. I do like the new way that you're putting the report out by department. That's pretty nice, concise, and so leads me to one question, reading that. What is Tyler's garage under Mark Miller's group? Is that a Tyler's house?
See, looking at the bills of the finance report. What was it? Tyler's.
I just never heard of that.
I don't think it was in this part of the.
Russ, I think are you referencing the payment of bills,
Yeah, that might be,
which is on the agenda next?
that might
Oh,
be.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can take a
sorry.
front row seat.
I was
because
trying-
you can be ready for the next one.
There's a treasury report, yeah, I got you.
Okay. Anything else from the financial reports? Russ is just so excited about us paying the bills, so. Kelly, we'll go ahead and move along to the finance or for the proposed, we don't have any minutes, we don't have any minutes, but I will. Where's the treasury report on here? Am I missing it?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, here, 9, okay.
February 12th, March.
We'll go ahead with the treasurer's report, Kelly, it's all yours.
The treasurer's report is covering our financial activity from February 12th to March 12th. During this past month, the general fund is supported in several key areas. These include earned and local tax collections along with transfer taxes from recent home sales. We also saw steady revenue from building permits, alarm fees, franchise fees, as well as residents signing up for park and rec programs and renting out our pavilions. These expenses in the general fund this month focus heavily on keeping our community running and safe. These include maintaining our vehicles, purchasing highway materials, maintaining our buildings, buying salt for winter road maintenance, legal and engineering costs. Managing our park and recs program events and maintenance, insurance payments, keeping our traffic lights in good working order, printing and mailing the spring newsletter, and routine operational expenses. I'm pleased to report that we have completed our annual filing for with the state and have received $520,000 in liquid fuel funding to help maintain our roads. We made several important equipment upgrades through our capital reserve fund to ensure our public works team has the tools they need. This includes a new Kentworth cab and chassis for $164,000. 48,000 for a new hydraulic plow, salt spreader, and dump body. And we also replaced Park and Rec Ford Explorer for $50,000. Additionally, we've used the infrastructure sustainability fund to cover necessary water sampling costs to ensure our local environment remains protected. Are there any questions on the bills?
So Russ, just a heads up, you can still come off if you want, but Tyler's Garage, Tyler's our in-house mechanic.
Okay.
And that's just East Goshen Mechanic Garage. So it's in-house. It's not like an actual third-party vendor or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is we bought 2 new laptops and 2 new members of the board.
Mhm.
When they, their term is over, or whenever they do leave, what happens to those computers? Do we refunction them to give to the next board members, or are they just trash?
You can, they turn them in, but we just actually had a recent board member who purchased his laptop from his previous tenure, so you're expected to turn it in, and then you can purchase it if you'd like.
Okay.
But we would wipe off all the township related data prior to that.
Thanks.
Okay, before we move on, any questions in the room or in the Zoom room, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the receipts and approve the expenditures as presented in the expenditure register and summarized in the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Anthony. Second. Thank you, Larry, for the second. Okay, we'll go to the room. If there's any other Zoom or any questions before I move to the Zoom room. Any questions from the board members? Yeah, go ahead and call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. We have no old business tonight. New business is going to be discussion approval of our tree bid. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is, again, approval for the tree bid. So we obviously, as a township, take on quite a bit of number of trees down every single year. We have been since I've been here. There's been a lot of dead and dying trees. So we have not been able to handle the volume ourselves. So this discussion and approval is for a third-party company for when we need the service. So this isn't, we definitely use it. It is for an as-needed basis. Sometimes we do it ourselves if we have the time, and we definitely have a lot of in-house expertise, but there's just sometimes in the middle of those storm periods where the volume just gets insane. So this was the results, as you can see in there. It's quite a spread. And the way Mark did the bid was it was based on diameter of different diameters of tree categories and also the canopy of the trees. So it's a little bit more accurate way to bid it versus an hourly rate in our discussions with him. So again, spread's very big here, but being a government entity, we go lowest bid and we hope they perform up to the task.
Thank you, Derek. I'd entertain a motion to approve the lowest bidder, Harlan Tree Services. Chairman,
Second.
thank you, Larry. Thank you, Barbara. Before we move on to the motion, any questions in the room? Any questions in the Zoom room on cutting trees?
Hi, it's Holly McDonald. I just have a question. Does the person that has the winning bid, have they donated to any of the current supervisors
I'm
to
not sure
political campaigns?
not that I'm aware of. I've never received a check from Harlan Tree Services, so.
No.
Doesn't sound like it. No.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Holly. I'll go ahead and entertain the motion. All in favor? Aye.
I did.
Wow.
Motion carries 5. Go ahead, move along to the presentation discussion with Chester County and potential comprehensive plan. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So again, a topic we've talked about for quite a few months in the new year here. And recently we did have a meeting a few weeks ago with myself, Larry, 2 planning commission members. I think that was Karen Marnick and John Stipe. Am I correct on that? Yes. And Kelly Kraus, Director of Code Enforcement. And essentially what we wanted to get some preliminary information from the county. It was a while since I've been through this process, and we just kind of wanted to know what services the county offer in terms of comprehensive plan, how it has changed from the pre-COVID days, if at all, and just trying to get a sense of how they deal with the comprehensive plan and helping municipalities out. So we do have Bambi Rivera here with us from the Chester County Planning Commission, and she was kind enough to give up her St. Patrick's Day night and walk us through sort of the potential of working with the county as a partner. There are other options too. So when Bambi's done and we want to further that discussion, we can kind of expand upon some of the other things we've been discussing. But we just wanted to give it from the county's perspective on how the county helps municipalities right now in terms of going through the comprehensive plan process. So with that, I will hand it over.
All right, well, thank you so much, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here. My name is Bambi Griffin Rivera, and I am the Community Planning Director at the Chester County Planning Commission. Normally, we operate with something called the Vision Partnership Program, or the VPP, which some of you may be familiar with, which is a grant program that we offer different municipalities to help them update their comprehensive plan, zoning ordinances, and different things that municipalities needs, plans and studies. Unfortunately, due to financial constraints, that program has been paused this year, but we still do offer another program called Community Planning Assistance, or CPA. And that program is based on our staff availability. But what that does is the county will match our staff time 50-50 with the township, and we would have one of our planners work with you to help develop the comprehensive plan. In essence, the county would become the consultant. And so if you did a comprehensive plan, we would sit down with you, talk about what you're looking at, what you need to do the update, come up with a scope of work, and then work out a budget. And whatever that final number was, we would present to you. And if East Goshen Township decided you wanted to move forward with that, it would be based, of course, on our staff availability. At this time, it looks like we will have openings in Q3 to start another comprehensive plan, if that's something you're interested in. And then we would move forward with the contract. Just for an example, what we would do is, again, cover 50% of the cost of that. So I'll just make up some numbers so that you have some ideas how that would work. If we budgeted everything out and it came to $80,000, then of course the county would cover 50% of that. A comprehensive plan is usually done over 24 months. And so we would bill the township in quarterly increments. And so that would be $40,000 the township would need to pay over 8 quarters. So that will be $5,000. And so one of the things with this program, in addition to the county covering 50% of the cost of the staff time, we also find that it's very digestible for municipalities, because rather than getting one large payment, you're able to break it down so it's a little more digestible for the budget. And so that is a very short and sweet summary of the CPA that we offer.
Bambi, I just have one question. I might ask this when we met before, I forget. Is the person assigned to East Goshen, if we were to go forward with the county, do they have to be AICP certified, or is it a goal? Is it just as far as for like a certified planner on staff? Is that something that you guys look at when you're assigning people to work with us?
No, most of our staff that work in the community planning department have been there for 20 or 30 years. We do have some newbies who've been there for a few years. Some of our staff is AICP certified, others are not, but that's not something that the county that we require.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Any other questions? Bambi, appreciate the presentation. Any questions or comments from the board members about this?
And just to kind of expand upon the conversation we had too in private, I guess this is one option, and obviously, as we discussed, we can also do our own RFP and go that way, and then that would be whatever that RFP and cost will come out with. That would be totally on East Goshen Township. I assume if we were to do that, then the county would at some point towards the end of the process, look at the comp plan and make sure it's in line still with landscapes 3 and everything that you guys sort of need on your level.
It will need to be submitted for an Act 247 review,
Yep.
and at that time, we would provide comments.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board before I go to the room for questions? Okay. Any questions from the room? If you don't mind coming up to the mic, please. That's fine. Let me just ask that you state, you're an expert here, that you just state your name and if you're an East Goshen resident.
My name is Terry Marin, and I was just wondering for how many townships or zones in the county have you done comprehensive plans in, say, the last 5 years?
Well, specifically for comprehensive plans, I would have to look that up to get that information for you. If that's something you want me to do, if you leave your information, I can reach out to Mr. Davis and follow up with you. Currently, we have 27 active projects. Now, part of those are under the Vision Partnership Program where we work with the municipality, but we don't actually directly do the project. 9 of those, including 1 multi-municipal plan, are CPA projects that our staff is doing for the municipalities.
I think that covers it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Bambi. Any other questions? Before I move to the Zoom room, we do have a gentleman coming up.
So I understand that the comprehensive plan, and we could decide to do it on our own. And we bear the 100% of that cost for doing that on our own.
That's correct. That's an option.
And if we were doing with the county, we still have to absorb some kind of costs.
50%.
50%.
Correct. Yep.
How long does this plan take to get into fruition?
So as she just said, actually, I mean, the estimate's 24 months. I think it was slightly less when I did it at West Goshen when I was an employee there. So it's a couple year process for sure when you get started.
So based on the budget that we've approved in 2026, was any funds contributed to that comprehensive plan?
I think it was $26,000. And then there was talk about that as far as getting it started in 2026, but with the knowledge that we would have to budget more in 2027 because that wouldn't fully cover the entirety of the project, whether we do it with the county or not.
So we make a decision on doing a plan. Some of the jobs get done in 2026. We're responsible to pay those bills in 2026. And then anything that goes over 27 goes to 27.
Correct.
So if there is not enough money, say we have 26 grand set aside for 2026.
Mhm.
Is that what I understood?
Yes.
So if we start moving towards this plan and it gets bigger than 26 grand, then we had not budgeted that, then we're gonna disrupt the whole budget process?
Well,
More money than what we had?
so a couple of things on that point. I think, well, one, yeah, I mean, any board, any municipality can go back and look at budgetary items in the year and in a public meeting, allocate money as they see fit, as long as it's in a public meeting. There's some percentage change that you have to stay within the guidelines of. But I think a more important point is that we're already going into month 4 here. And I mean, we haven't dispersed any money on this project. We're still in the, sort of research stage and finding out what we want to do and how we want to do it. So, I mean, I don't want to speak for the board, but I think we're going to be halfway through the year before we would spend a dime, and even that's an early estimate. So I don't foresee us spending a whole lot amount in 2026 when you're looking at I mean, we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes, but we're just not at the point where we're expending funds for it because there's a lot of legwork to do and make sure we're going about it the way we want to go about it. So
That's what I'm kind of getting today. I thought it was gonna be more dramatic for 2026, to be honest with you. Last question I have is, who's responsible for overseeing? Is that planning commission that puts all the major input into this plan?
No, the planning commission, our planning, East Goshen Planning Commission, or, okay. So East Goshen Planning Commission doesn't technically have oversight on a comprehensive plan process. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, if we, for instance, put together an ad hoc committee to steer the plan and discuss it in public meetings, that some of the planning commission members can be a part of that because their background is quote unquote planning, and maybe some of them will be interested in it. And at the end of the process, the planning commission could possibly review it along the way, depending on the setup that we have with an ad hoc committee. The last time I went through this process, there were a couple of planning commission members in my previous township that were part of the ad hoc committee set up in order to go through that process. But technically from that perspective, the planning commission in East Goshen wouldn't have oversight of the comprehensive plan process.
The last thing I'll bring up is that, how's the residents get more involved, with the process going forward?
I mean, I think just keep coming to these meetings and listen. I mean, we haven't set up a committee, we haven't spent a dime. So I think when we get to that point, the board will have to decide how they want to go about selection of people that, you know, can get on some sort of committee or participation group. And then we can have, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but application processes and, you know, resumes to see if anybody has any background or just interested. Not that that's a disqualification, but so I just think what you're doing now is basically it until we can go forward with what we, you know, how we want to go forward with it.
Let me add something to that. I think that part of the process, the comprehensive planning process, involves a good deal of community outreach. It involves soliciting as much feedback from residents as possible. So if we went, whether we went with county or whether or not we hired a separate consultant in order to lead this, we would want to make sure that that consultant has a good process for getting a lot of community input. The value of the comprehensive plan, one of the things we absolutely do not want to do is just do it as a check the box perfunctory, just do a plan. The plan is only going to be valuable if it really reflects a lot of community input and the real expectations of the residents of the township on what they want the township to be over the next 10 years. So one of the things that we're going to be searching for in a good consultant, and as Derek said, we're kind of about doing our homework stage, just trying to find out what are the different ways of doing this, as Clark and Band is here, and also what are the parameters. But if we were to do an RFP for a consultant, one of the things we would want to select is what process do they use in order to get as much community feedback and engagement as possible? Because the comprehensive plan is only valuable to the extent that it reflects the community's values. So that's going to be an important element of it. So the bottom line answer is going to be stay tuned. It's as I said, it's a way that we're going to be doing our selection of whatever consultant is going to lead. But we want to make sure that there's ample opportunity for community feedback. So it's not just going to be that there will be an ad hoc committee who will be in charge of it formally, but the process should involve as much community feedback as possible, to be more than just people volunteering for that committee. And by the way, in terms of cost, even if we did not go with the county, and if we went out and did an RFP to hire a separate consultant, there still are state grants that are available. There's no guarantee that will qualify, but nevertheless, there are state grants that are available for municipalities that are doing a comprehensive plan. Thanks.
And they're not to get too much in the weeds, but there's also different, you know, individual conversations with board members. There's also different kind of analysis that are maybe outside of the scope of a traditional comprehensive plan that may be helpful for the township for planning purposes going forward. So that's another sort of avenue here, and not saying it's one or the other, but we have to also start talking about sequencing and how we want to kind of go about this. So there's definitely a lot of planning to go on here, no pun intended. So yeah, so that's
the truth is we haven't spent a penny yet. We still have a lot more homework to do. So
yeah.
Although as Derek pointed out, we have 26,000 that was budgeted for this year for the plan. What whether or not we get around to spending a good deal of that before we actually have a full program is the question.
Great, thanks. Any other questions for Bambi before we let her enjoy her St. Patty's Day night? Okay, nothing in the room, anything in the Zoom room? Okay, appreciate your time, Bambi. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
Okay, moving along to the much anticipated WEGO consolidated contract.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is what I'm calling Resolution 2026-05, and this has been a process that we've been talking about since I've been here at East Goshen. And essentially what this is, the way the CBA and collective bargaining agreements have been structured with police association and the police department, there's been a lot of patchwork ad hoc sort of way going about it, where there's layers of agreements and memorandums of understanding that came out and over the years, and every time negotiations come up, we refer back to these documents. And there was never, believe it or not, for as long as this department's been around, there's never been a consolidated contract that has governed the relationship between the association and the department. So this is the final product of a lot of hard work by a lot of people. Kathy Brill, who is the business administrator over at the police department, did a fantastic job, worked with the association. They also helped a lot. I think it's important to say that this was not a process that brought up any negotiating points. This is strictly just consolidating what we already know to be true and to make our lives easier, both sides, when 2028 rolls around and we're negotiating with the association again. So after this is passed, we don't have to refer back to past documents. We just have to refer back to this one document. And the hope is to just keep it that way going forward. So we don't have, again, this mess of, addendum and memorandums of understanding and layers of agreements. So I appreciate everybody's effort on this, and this is for your consideration tonight.
Thank you, Derek. And I think it's important as we continue building a transparent process as we do our CBA negotiations in 3 years. It's gonna be nice to have everything in one packet for whomever is on that committee. Appreciate again, as you mentioned, Russ Weaverling, the rest of the union, their attorney, Pat Harvey, Derek, you did a lot of work as well, and Miss Mila from Westtown, and then obviously Kathy as well. So I'd entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Barbara. Larry, I think you were clamoring for a second there.
I'm clamoring for second.
Great. Any questions in the room about this? Any questions in the Zoom room? Go ahead and call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next is our Arbor Day proclamation. We do this, go ahead.
So very simple. We do this every year as a tree city. We need to have an official proclamation to accompany the event. The proposed proclamation is attached. We do usually read it, so I apologize about that, Cody. But yeah, that's what we usually do in the meeting. We read. I don't know if we have to. We have in the past. I like to just keep it that way.
Yeah. I would love if a board member would enjoy reading this official proclamation, unless we make Derek do it.
I can do it. I can do it.
All right.
All right. She is from Nebraska, so there you go.
That's true.
Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting, heating, and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen, and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy, and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, I, Ann Duffield, Township Supervisor, East Goshen Township, do hereby proclaim April 25th, 2026 as Arbor Day in the Township of East Goshen, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations.
Fantastic, thank you, Ann.
And by the way, I celebrated this every year as I was growing up by going to the city where this happened
Oh, that's neat.
and picking apples.
Fun fact. Thank you for reading that. I entertain a motion now that it's been read.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the 2026 Arbor Day proclamation and authorize a Board of Supervisors member to read the proclamation at the April 25 event.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Barbara. Looks like Ann, you've auditioned and you've successfully won the role to be able to do this. So before we go ahead and pass this, any comments in the room or questions? Questions or comments in the Zoom room?
To be signed.
Okay, go ahead and call the motion. All in favor? Aye. And as we move along to the next resolution, if you weren't here last week for our ABC event, we also, I believe it was Conservancy also talked about, there's a similar Arbor Day proclamation that as it pertains to birds, and it's something that we may qualify for due to all the bluebird boxes and all the work that Conservancy and other departments already do. So more to come on that. Derek, you?
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So next one would be resolution 2026-06, pension administrator change. It's pretty simple. We are required to pass a resolution on the board to any pension authorized signers. So we are adding Kelly Brophy to the authorized signer list. And that resolution accomplishes this for our purposes.
Mr. Chair, I move we pass resolution 2026-06, updating our pension plan authorized signers with Derek Davis and Kelly Brophy as outlined in the resolution.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Ann. Any questions in the room about this? Any questions in the Zoom room? Go ahead and call the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Moving along to the Chester County Art Walk, addition of beer and wine vendor that we have to do this every year. Go ahead, Derek.
I'm going to let Jason, the wonderful Parks and Rec Director of East Goshen, take this one.
Good evening, everybody. So we've hosted the Chester County Art Walk since 2020 in East Goshen Park. If you haven't been to the event before, it has 75 to 100 artists right along the trail in the park. We partner with the Chester County Art Association to make it happen. There's anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 people that come if the weather is gorgeous. In terms of the event itself, it's always very successful. When we survey the participants afterwards and the artists themselves, honestly, the one thing they always mention is that the event is great, the art is great, walking the park is great, but the one element of this type of event, which our event is lacking, is the sale of alcohol. So beer and wine vendors at the park, which after some consideration, I'm recommending. We've done it in the park since 2019 at the Food Truck Festival, successfully every year for 6 or 7 years now. We have one beer, one wine vendor at that event. They card. We have WeGo Police on site to control any kind of issues that would arise, but I'm very happy to say that we have never had any issues arise. Typically, you can see a WeGo policeman playing football with kids. That's how intense this event gets. So for this one, it would be along the trail, right by the baseball field. We'd have one beer, one wine vendor. The event itself goes from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. So we would open alcohol sales from 11 till 3, and then we would not have it for the first hour, close it 1 hour before the event ends. And it supports local businesses. It's something that the public and the artists themselves would really like. So I'll open up to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions or comments from the board members? Okay. I'll entertain a motion before we open for public comment.
I move to allow beer and or wine sales and consumption at the 2026 Township Food Truck and Music Festival scheduled for September 19, 2026.
Thanks, Barbara. Do you hear a second?
Second.
Great. Jason, my only question is, will you have the Penn State game on during this time?
Yes, if a Penn State football game happens to fall, we'll definitely have it on for sure. Locust Lane, that's our brewery we use, and they're all Penn Staters, so I think they can make that happen.
Good. Any questions in the room for this? Good. Just ask for your name if you're an East Goshen resident.
Mike Trio, yes, I'm East Coast. Just for the Derek, for the event, is there a temporary liquor license required for that from the state? Or a health permit from the county?
I think the trucks themselves rather
Liquor
than
license,
are
right?
the ones that are governed by the health and liquor license. Yeah. Jason, you could jump in here, but I'm pretty sure we're not required to do it.
Yeah, so each of the vendors, they're allowed a certain number of special event licenses that they can use throughout the calendar year. And so they would use one of those licenses for this event specifically.
Okay, I've been in cases where they didn't have it, got stopped. So
Yes. Appreciate the question. Thanks, Mike. Any other questions in the room? Zoom room? Okay, go ahead and call a motion. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Next up is the blacksmith shop heritage site, is that Jason as well?
I'll start it off, but Jason can sort of jump in. But Jason and I have we brought this to the board. I think this has been a couple of years. The idea came up at the time for because they're doing an America 250 event throughout Chester County and trying to coordinate different heritage sites, that the blacksmith shop would be a good location for a kiosk. I don't know if everybody's been to Four Dogs Tavern. They have sort of a similar kiosk looking thing where they give, history of the area and things like that. So we were looking to do that. And I think at the time we were pretty excited about it. It then fell off because there was no funding for it. And then very last minute in late fall, we got word that out of nowhere, the county, I guess, budgeted some money to try to get this project going. And they reached out to us and see what our interest was at this time. And we wanted to run it by the board, but Jason and I had significant concerns where we wouldn't recommend doing it right now. We definitely may still be interested if it's pushed back to 2027, but as far as the 2026 round, in terms of what they're trying to do right now, we just don't feel comfortable with getting rushed and the blacksmith shop being such a big asset for us. What we put down here, cost estimate, scope of work, planning out the electric, they would need Wi-Fi. They would need some sort of pad to put the thing on, and some long-term things would need to be considered as far as how we go beyond the funding of what they would give us now. So this was one of those things where we were initially excited about the idea to showcase the blacksmith shop, and now it just feels rushed, and we're not necessarily on board with it for right now. And we just wanted to get the board up to speed and get some feedback there, because really they've been contacting us, but we've been hesitant, but we also want the board to be aware of why we're hesitant in case word gets back, oh, well, your administration didn't like it, so it didn't go through. So Jason, I don't know if you have anything to add, but that's kind of sums it up for where my head was on it.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. I mean, the concept of the kiosk is really neat. It really is. Each heritage site would have an identical kiosk, which would you would learn about that heritage site at the kiosk, but it would also give you the opportunity to learn about other locations in Chester County that you can go then visit. So the concept is really cool. But as Derek mentioned, there are just so many elements of the project that are up in the air right now. And, at the end of the day, the blacksmith shop is our most prized possession. And I just don't want to rush the project just to make it happen, when we can, give it a little bit of time, see what the design looks like, really make sure it's what we need and what the blacksmith shop deserves, and then, make it happen at a later date.
Hey, Jason, any comments from the board on this?
And just to clarify, I don't think there's a motion or anything that needs to happen on this. It was just more of an FYI of kind of what Jason and I are thinking when they come back to us and ask us where we're at on it.
And we already have a lot of, 250
Mhm.
events.
Yeah.
On the books. It's not like we're begging for another thing.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with Larry. The board members' thoughts on supporting staff here on this? Are we good with them telling that we can wait a year?
I think
Yes.
we need more information,
Yeah.
more details, more specifics, more planning.
Jason and Derek, there you go.
Thank you.
Moving along here to the Westchester Area Council of Governments 250 event.
Jason, I'm gonna have you've been to more of the meetings than I have. I did make one, but I'll have you jump in again since you've been running point on this one.
Yeah, sure. So the Westchester Council of Governments, at some point in 2025, began discussions of having a singular Westchester 250 event that all 7 municipalities could collaborate on in terms of financing, partnership, and to make the event happen. And so we have been meeting now for the last 2 or 3 months, give or take. So we have a pretty neat event planned. Some details are still up in the air, but it'll be on Sunday, August 2nd, down in the borough. We'll be shutting down High Street and Gay Street. High Street will essentially be a walk through 250 years of American history. So you start at one end and you're in 1776. And then as you walk down the street, you're going through all the decades, hitting all the milestones of American life, and ending at today, 2026, which will be very cool. We have a lot of neat partners involved with it. And then Gay Street or High Street or Gay Street, I'm getting them confused right now. But the other street will be more of a standard festival atmosphere with food and carnival games and moon bounces for kids and activities and live music. So it should be a lot of fun. We're expecting a big crowd, 5,000 or 6,000 people, a lot of hands on deck. And we're starting to get to the point where we need to book vendors and musicians and the inflatable commercial vendor. So essentially, we need to start putting down contracts and deposits, which would come through the COG. And in initial meetings, the dollar amount that was identified was $3,000 per municipality for the event. And so we're at the point now where last year we had talked about that number, and now we need to start executing that so that we can start booking some of those vendors. So the motion today is to approve the $3,000 financing for the event through the Westchester Council of Governments.
So moved.
Okay, and making a motion here. I do have a question.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, don't be. You can make the motion whenever you like. I do have a question, Jason and Derek. Of the 7 municipalities who are part of COG, has everyone committed to this?
That was my question.
Sorry, steal it. Let you go first next time.
On paper, everybody's still in the process of passing it. Actually, I think Westtown brought it up last night, so I could check with Neil tomorrow, but we're all sort of in the process of bringing it to the boards and, but I don't foresee, from the meetings I've been in, I don't foresee any issues.
And then where in the budget is this coming out of?
Be somewhere in Parks and Rec. Yeah, I mean, it'd be a Parks and Rec line item. We'd have to take it out of. I mean, we do have money set aside.
We have the 250.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I have a motion here from Ian to approve the $3,000.
Second.
Second, any comment in the room about?
What's the benefit to the town?
Jerry, who's an East Coast resident, asks, what's the benefit to the township?
I think the main benefit would be showing solidarity across the greater Westchester area with our fellow municipalities, and for a very small contribution by one township, all East Coast residents could enjoy a gigantic, significant event. So, the way I would liken it to be is Community Day for us every year costs $25,000, but we'll get to enjoy another Community Day like event for only $3,000.
I'd like to add to that. I also think that there's a whole portion of the township that actually is on the other side of Westchester Pike. Neighborhoods that I actually lived in and brought my children up in. They gravitate very much, they're a younger population, they gravitate very much to Westchester. And it is, I think, including them in the types of activities that we want to promote for the township for younger people.
One thing in addition, Jerry, what I would add is last year, like Jason said, community day cost 25,000. Friends of East Goshen, who's our 501c3, gave us about 41,000. So we're 16,000 in the black. So I would just count this as really part of the FOEG donation. So it's really not costing taxpayers money.
Plus, in lieu of community day this year, right?
Well, we're having the other 250 event with West Goshen, and that's in lieu of Community Day. This doesn't directly answer Jerry's question. I think it's that question's more in the eye of the beholder and whether they think there's value there. But just what Jason brought up last year, there was just a lot of discussion on the COG level about having a COG level event to celebrate 250 together as a council of governments and doing something that's the center of that COG, which is in the, town square, suppose, Borough of Westchester. So that was the concept and that was the discussion over 2025.
Any other comments in the room? Questions?
I mean, we are a part of a larger community. I mean, we are a municipality, kind of discreet, but we're surrounded by lots of other municipalities and we're part of a survey. And Westchester seems to me to be a logical focal point of that area that we share with other municipalities.
Just a question, Jason. Have they addressed the issue of parking? Westchester's really tough.
Yeah,
Sure.
so in terms of parking, the parking garages will be open, and the lead on this event is the Westchester Parks and Rec Department, who handles many large events down in the borough. So yeah, they'll be taking the lead on addressing all the parking issues.
Thanks, Barbara. Any other questions or comments from the board? Any other comments or questions from the room? Zoom room? Okay, with that, I'll go ahead and call the motion. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving along here to any other matter.
I do have one, sort of important because we have a little bit of a scheduling jam coming up shortly here. And April is a tough month. There's various scheduling issues with the first 3 Tuesdays in April. And then the problem with going the last week in April is it's far from now, but it also backs us up into May 5th, which we can't meet the 3rd week in May because it's an election day and we're a polling place. So we're having a little bit of a domino effect here. My first suggestion, and I'm open to suggestions from everybody else. I know we usually try to keep it on a Tuesday when we reschedule, but I was going to propose to see what everybody's availability was on April 16th, which is a Thursday. We would basically try to get that going now as far as the advertisement, that it would be a Thursday. And then this way that sets us up.
Shower time.
Mute him. Okay. Sorry about that. And so, yeah, so April 16th will be the Thursday that I propose to meet. This way it keeps us on track for being able to meet on May 5th, which is the first Tuesday, since we're going to miss the second week in May. And then obviously we can discuss and see what we want to do, but I just know that talking to various board members and seeing what events we have coming up for April, that the first 3 Tuesdays in April are tough. So open the discussion.
All right, we're over here. So with that, I'll just go ahead and say that we can maybe find a different day. April 16th does work for me.
Okay.
Do you think they'll have enough items on the agenda? I guess since that's the only time we're in April, probably would.
I think we probably would, but I mean, legally we have to meet in April anyway. So, I mean, but again, if the other option is we do hold off till April 28th, which is the last Tuesday. But then we'd have to look at when we want to meet in May, because we certainly wouldn't want to meet May 5th, since that's the very next week, so. I don't know what the second Tuesday in May is, I guess the 12th.
I'll tell you what. It's second.
Board members are
Tuesday.
pulling out their phones, just look at the calendar.
It's the 12th, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the 12th.
We'll pause with it. Wish I had some elevator music.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
12th.
Well, we don't have any liaison reports.
Yeah. Oh, so I did have one other thing on any other matter while you guys are looking. I did not ask this during the comprehensive plan conversation, but just so we can sort of publicly move this conversation along and just keep it up at meetings. I was thinking of possibly just maybe getting together some sample RFPs of what that would look like, Kelly Kraus and I. And maybe we could just kind of discuss those RFPs at a meeting and see what we like, what we don't like, what we may want to include. There's just another way to sort of get the ball rolling again as we're talking individually, if that would be okay. Okay.
And I think a lot of you interested too, Derek, one of the townships around us has gone off our, what they've paid.
Yeah, and I already have some RFPs from other perfect places as well, in addition to some of the other ones that surrounds up.
All right, so we got the AOK from Barbara on April 16th. I'm good for April 16th. Peter, are you good for April 16th?
I'm okay.
I'm okay also. All right, look at that. April 16th is the next meeting.
Okay, so I will get that information out there, and then we can meet May 5th and everything will be fine. Thank you.
You mean we're gonna meet May 5th right after?
Well, no, April 16th isn't after.
Perfect. That's
Yeah,
right, it's next
yeah,
week.
yeah, so sure, so that'll be 3 weeks later.
Cool. Yeah, April 16th, our next meeting on Thursday, followed by May 5th. And then we're off on the 19th for primary election day.
And we can start again in June and have a regular.
And then in the past, for the summers, we've only done one meeting, so I guess it's something that we'll read.
July and August for sure, and then we can talk about in May, what we want to do for June.
Yeah. We'll make sure the website's updated accordingly.
Yep. Mhm.
Don't want Eric showing up on the Tuesday, when it's supposed to be Thursday. Okay, any public comment?
Julietta County Wisconsin. I'm here to suggest we bring back the historic commission. Right,
Yeah, I don't know.
There's only two.
On two. Is that better? Okay. That's certainly a board prerogative if they want me to look into it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, is that it? No. What's going on? So, yeah, I mean, when we plan on not doing the historical commission anymore, it was, the board's prerogative at the time and what they wanted to do. We never fully decommitted from it in terms of getting rid of some of the language in the ordinances. So we wouldn't have to redo the order. So for example, we had, ordinances that say historical commission has to review certain things in a land development if it's a historical resource. We never went ahead with those ordinance changes. So I think it would be just a simple, getting some information together to see, ads and seeing if people are interested in doing a historical commission. I would just say that we need to maybe think about and propose, and we can talk about this at the next meeting, what exactly that would look like, because I know the last time we got rid of the historical commission was mainly because a lot of the members were more into the Parks and Rec fund aspect of the historical commission, like reenactments. But historical commission does have a serious land development component that is important. So everybody would just have to be aware of that. And are we just sticking to that sort of planning land development? Are we going to have them do aspects of historical reenactments like before? So I think it has to be some sort of discussion on, do you want to go with that suggestion of reinstating or looking to reinstate the historical commission? And then also, what does that look like from a task perspective?
How long ago was it decommissioned?
No, 2022, maybe 2023.
I would like to just mention that as somebody participating in the 250 Joint Committee with West Goshen, that West Goshen's Historical Committee has been invaluable to the 250 plan. They brought an amazing knowledge base about historical things in the area as well as in the country, and I would love to see us at least put it out into the community to see if we could find enough interest to reconsider East Goshen claiming a historical commission. We have a lot of history in this area, and I think we would benefit as a township from having an active historical commission.
I've actually had questions from Hershey's Mill, for example, because they been doing a history project and wanted access to historical information in East Goshen. And at the moment, it's pretty much stored here in boxes that they could access. But there's no historical commission for them to go to in the way that you've described West Goshen.
Thank you, Ann. Julieta, thank you. I count you as our first applicant for to fill there. No, okay. Okay.
Recruit people.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. And I think I'd also nominate my friend Peter Hicks to be part of this since his family's been in the town for hundreds of years. So Peter, you just got yourself another committee if we get that, but I do appreciate it. I do think it's something that I'm in support of.
Peter is an historical role.
Exactly. If we want to maybe put it back on the website to see if people would be willing to apply, or what would be the next steps here?
Yeah, so what we can do is, yeah, Ashley and I could come up with something simple on Canva as far as like an advertisement for it. And then maybe at the next meeting, we can bring in that advertisement and talk about, I could write something up about maybe the objectives and goals and see how that jives with what the board is thinking. But I think really after we get a certain amount of people, we could just make those appointments and get that thing rolling.
Great, thanks everyone. Jump those next steps. Okay, any other public comments?
One question, where are we at with the dandelion company?
We haven't had any further discussion after that one board. I mean, she did follow up and say it was nice to meet everybody, but we haven't, yeah, we haven't broached the subject again.
Do we want to do anything with that or move forward with that or get something going with that?
Yeah, I think it's a question. Yeah, I don't know what the next steps were, but at least I would be willing to continue to explore that. Appreciate bringing it up, Peter. What would you want to do that?
I would too.
Something we can discuss at our April 16th meeting, or prefer wait for May for that?
April 16th.
Yeah, I can do April 16th. I just have to massage a little bit what exactly we want to talk about at that. But yeah, I can have it on the agenda. We can
Okay,
talk
you want
about it.
individual board members?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we just want greater public outreach.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the best way.
yeah. And I can help out a bit on that front.
Thanks, Peter. Any other public comment in the room? Going to the Zoom room. Our Zoom room folks are dwindling. Any liaison reports? I believe Barbara does have the 251.
Just briefly, the 250 committee is continuing to do great work, as is Jason. And we have a donation from Craft Coach donating a 25-passenger van to shuttle people back and forth from the park to the blacksmith shop for demonstrations, which will help with parking and traffic. Senator Comita has confirmed that she'll be in the parade, and we're hoping for a similar confirmation from Representative Paelli, and we're still waiting for Representative Houlihan and Howard. One supervisor from each township will speak from the stage. That will be the chair. Thank you, Cody.
Okay.
And all of the East Goshen Township supervisors and West Goshen supervisors will be in the parade and seated on the stage. Others on the stage for the main presentation will be Sons of American Revolution, other elected officials, the 250 committee, Ben Franklin, and the Declaration of Independence readers. So the parade will stage behind the CCBI building and will be checked in by 4:45 and start at 5 p.m. So just so you can put that all on your calendar, supervisors, to be ready to be in the parade at 4:45. 8:30.
Thank you,
It's going to
Barbara.
be a great event.
Ann, did you have a liaison report?
A very quick one. The pipeline committee, a task force wanted me to share with you that they are hoping to get improvements on the valve station on Paoli Pike. Something that will eventually be shared with the community. It's the major thing for the community to know is that once the pipeline was put in, it went under the ground, out of sight, out of mind. But now it's been turned on. There are flammable liquids flowing through these pipes. And so it's very important that the pipeline committee stay on top of this and talk about the do's and don'ts in the case of a spill. So you can look forward to an article in I think it was the June newsletter on that subject.
So is the articles are due in June. It's not going to be out till probably close to Labor Day.
Oh, that's right.
Hence the communication conversations they keep having.
Yes.
Great, thanks, Andy. Anything else? Perfect. Okay, any other? With that, we don't have any correspondence or reports of interest. Am I correct on that, Derek?
No, we do not, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Barbara. I second. Thank you, Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.